This was the shirt that I was wearing to the final, so
And she hasn't taken it off since. Basically, a social media trend led to this love story and you finding your fiancé.
Women's sport and women's rugby is my full-time job, which is incredible to be able to say.
Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans Fanzone with me, Luce. I hope you're all good. As you can see on the screen, today's guest, I'm very excited because I feel like every week I basically say the same thing of like, oh, I'm so happy with this guest because I'm grateful for the Arsenal community for bringing me another friend and someone like that. But also you've taken a step away from football and you're now working in rugby, which I can't wait to chat about in a bit. But obviously we want to bring it back to Arsenal and your connection to it. So the same question that I ask every guest to start off each episode is why Arsenal? So why, Katie, why do you support Arsenal?
Well, I am actually, I hate to be the stereotype, but it was the community around it and the almost TikTokification of it. I've always grown up playing football, watching football. Obviously, just the men's football was available for me when I was growing up. And I kind of had to stop playing when I got to high school level because there were no teams about. But my family grew up in Livingston, which is just outside of Edinburgh. That was our local football team. So I used to work at those games. My family support Rangers as well, so there's no direct connection to Arsenal, actually.
Really?
But 2020, it was 2023 after the World Cup that everything started to blow up, and there's actually a few of the creators that are still about now started doing the Panini sticker videos when it was the very first WSL sticker book. I caught on to that. Obviously, it was the blowing up of Arsenal women just after that Chelsea win at the Emirates, which was, I wish I could have been there for that. But yeah, it was literally just from that. I'm a successful product of their social media strategy, I guess. And yeah, my stepdad and his side of the family are all Fulham fans, so they're not best pleased at my choice, but it's not Chelsea, so they're grateful about that.
To be fair, I think anyone's grateful it's not Chelsea.
Yeah.
So you're not doing too bad there. I feel like my family actually, on my dad's side, a lot of them, they grew up Battersea sort of area, like Fulham, Chelsea were the sort of teams, and a lot of them are Chelsea fans. And when I was like, yeah, so I'm at Arsenal, they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, but through the women's game, but now it's the men as well. So I'm like, oh God, I'm the disappointment. But I find that so cool how you're definitely not the only one that will come on this pod in the future or has already been that says, oh yeah, it's through obviously the World Cup, it's through major tournaments, I feel like, and obviously those Panini stickers, they did really well with their marketing. But
they did wonders.
Because obviously, as you said, you're a Scottish girlie, so I'm kind of intrigued, how did you decide Arsenal was the WSL side for you?
I think, well, I went to my first Arsenal game in 2024 in January. It was Meadow Park against Everton, and I'm pretty sure it was a 2-1 win, and it had me, on the edge of my seat the whole game. But I thought I would come down for a game. I did buy my first shirt before then, with my Christmas pocket money, and it was just their pushing of their women's team. It's the most I've ever seen of a club that is so committed to showing their quality and, hey, we're here as well and we want to make everybody know that it's not the women's team aren't second, but it's the one club mentality, and that's something that I wasn't used to, especially with Scottish football. It's very much the men's game is the centre of attention and the women's game isn't even second to that. It's almost kind of just not really talked about as much. It's getting better a bit now, but nothing like the game is here and nothing like Arsenal. And that was a real push, as in, yeah, I can see what you're doing and it's working, and here I am.
No, 100%. Honestly, I feel like the one club mindset is something that definitely stands us out, and I feel like that is why our fan base is so big as well and so diverse, that it spreads from different countries. Everyone would rather support Arsenal than maybe another WSL side, probably because of the culture we bring with it. And I feel like, obviously you mentioned a game just then in your head, but are there any particular games or moments that stand out for you? I feel like a could probably guess what you might say, potentially a final or something like that. But are there any moments that stand out for you that you're like, yeah, this showed that the women's game is getting recognised and it deserves this recognition, and obviously just Arsenal succeeding in general?
In terms of my favourite game, or
Mm-hmm.
well, it has to be Champions League final. I
Yeah.
can't not say that. I was actually, this was the shirt that I was wearing to the final, so
And she
it's,
hasn't taken it off since.
and I haven't taken it off since. No, it's been glued to me. I've had a couple of complaints about the smell.
That's fine because we won a
Yeah,
trophy, so
yeah, it's still got all the memories attached to it. But yeah, that final against Barcelona in Lisbon was hands down the best, biggest, most
Mhm.
insane, unexpected win that I've ever been to. And the crowd, the amount of Arsenal fans that were there, we took over like Pink Street in Lisbon. And it was just like I met a group of friends through
Mhm.
Arsenal that I go to every game with, and we were all out there together. We were sat just across from each other at the final. I had other friends that I'd met through Arsenal as well sitting beside me. We made friends with everybody around us. Like, we're sobbing. Like, my fiance was given like a cuddle to the family in front of us because we were all so emotional for it, and it was just cemented. Oh my goodness, like, we've done this is
Mhm.
real, and we've done it together almost, because the support, like, we were outnumbered by the Barcelona fans just simply because of like the area of where it was, the travel. It was a lot of money to get over there, especially
Yeah.
if you're an Arsenal fan and aren't really expecting your team to go all the way. As much as we had it in our hearts that we could do this and that we know we're capable of it, the chances of Arsenal getting to the final, that was the first time since we won it the first time. And yeah,
Mm.
that has to be like hands down the best, other than getting engaged, just to get make that clear, like the best moment of my life, and no other like sporting event has quite like got there. And I can't, unless Scotland somehow win the World Cup, I think, yeah, that's gonna be the best sporting event I've ever been to.
I honestly have so many questions based off what you just said, so I don't really know what to start with first. I feel like firstly, I was one of the Arsenal fans that would have loved to have gone out there, but I left it too last minute because, like you said, you have confidence in your team. Like you think, yeah, they're going to do well, but I feel like if you look at how that whole season went with managers coming in and out, the form in the league was up and down, and then suddenly like this Champions League trophy was maybe a possibility. It just felt like, so no, I'm delusional for thinking that we'd get there. So I didn't actually book it, but I ended up going to the Emirates, which was just as good. And I think it shows how good Arsenal are at setting up different initiatives as well. Because if you couldn't make it out there, they had obviously the Emirates, they had loads of pubs, like local pubs and everything like that. And I just feel like it's so good. So honestly, you talking about that, I feel like it's something that everyone's got their own interpretation. They know exactly where they were, what they were doing, and the fact that you've almost created that community around you as well. I was going to ask this in a little bit, but I feel like you've mentioned the word fiance a few times, which firstly, congrats, because that's insane. Like
Thank
when you
you.
posted it on Instagram, I was like, oh my God, like it just feels so exciting. Like when
Yeah.
someone announces this. So yes, I'm very, very happy for you. And obviously your fiance, like that is insane. But I just feel like there's a little bit that Arsenal had a little impact maybe into
Yeah.
just a little impact
Touch.
into your journey and like becoming a fiance. So can you sort of just like talk me through, and anyone who's listening or watching that doesn't know,
Yeah.
how basically a social media trend that a lot of Arsenal fans used
Yeah.
basically has now led to this love story and you finding your fiance?
Yeah. Well, the social media trend, if anyone is not familiar, it was the
Hmm.
one with Rihanna in the background, and it was when the dating apps weren't working. And my one was the very first Arsenal game I went to when the dating apps aren't working. So
Hmm.
I go to an Arsenal women's game and look confused. And it was it was a freezing day in January. I was in like a big hoodie with my Arsenal top over the top of it. And I was like, right, we need to do this at halftime. This is my moment. Filmed it, posted it like the next day, and got a comment from somebody saying, "Oh, you should look confused in the East Bank instead," because I was in the North Bank for that game. and we followed each other, kept like having a look, and then she posted a video saying that she bought 2 tickets to the Manchester City game against Arsenal, hoping that she'd find the love of her life before then to take. I commented on that one, and then that's where it started from there, and we started messaging every day. Our first game, I actually got the 6 a.m. flight from Glasgow, and she was working during the day, so I think I was on about 4 hours of sleep, flew down to London, spent the day, saw my friend in London, and we were supposed to go to the London City Lionesses game, which notoriously got cancelled because of the flooded pitch. And
Nice. You've made all that effort and they can't even play.
All of that effort, yeah. Yeah, and I was on the train to Dartford when the cancellation came out, so I was like 4 hours sleep, in a new place I didn't know, just like sobbing on this train. And we met up anyway, decided to go to a pub, had a few drinks, chatted about Arsenal and everything here, there and in between. And yeah, that's where it started. Our second and third dates were Arsenal games as well. We did the Manchester United game at the Emirates and then the Spurs game at the Emirates. And yeah, that was kind of all history from there. I flew down every other weekend to come and see the games with her and stay with her. And yeah, now I'm living in London, living together with a ring on each of our fingers.
Actually crazy. I feel like if anyone's watching YouTube, I'm just smiling throughout that whole thing. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, tell me more, because I love the detail. Because I remember meeting up with you, like obviously not after you had obviously got engaged, but after you guys were official, and just asking you about it, and just hearing the story again, I'm like, oh my god, this is so exciting. And then literally last night, because I was like, right, let me actually just get out my receipts, just check the trend, and literally word for word, I've got my receipts on my phone now of like her commenting should have acted confused in the East Bank, and you were like, I'll keep that in mind for next time. Even just reading back that, I was like, this is so cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is so cool. And I feel like as well, when I talk to more and more people, it's kind of like a universal thing of making friends. Obviously, you took it to the next level of like, making fiancés.
Yeah.
But I just find it so fun of how people just can easily connect. And obviously, that is social media being used in like the best way possible, which honestly I love. So yeah, I'm just so happy for you. And I hope that anyone listening or watching has been inspired. Like maybe, just shoot your shot. Like,
Yeah,
just post on
absolutely
social
shoot your
media.
shot.
Because I
Yeah,
feel like,
follow it up
what
and
is the
you'll
worst that
get
could
there.
happen? You could have
Yeah,
to like pay for a ring. That's the worst that's going to happen. But then you've got
it's worth
everything
it.
else that comes with it, which is good. So there she is. So no, honestly, it's such a cool story. And yeah, thanks for sharing that with me. I feel like moving back, because in my head skipped a few things there, but obviously had to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Going back to more like of your favourite Arsenal things, obviously you've just mentioned like the favourite things about the Arsenal fan base, like the community, but focusing on like the pitch in particular, like the players, are there any players that have always stood out to you? I don't know, if like a Kim Little because of her Scottish roots, as well as obviously being an Arsenal legend, like are there any players that you either identify with if you played football or just as a fan?
Yeah, so my top two are probably, yeah, as you mentioned, Kim Little. You can't deny what an incredible player she is. And also just like Arsenal posted a video the other day about what is your favourite thing about Kim Little.
Yeah,
And nobody struggled to find an answer for it, which I think like tells you as much as you need to know about it. And when she came up for it as well, she walked straight past and said, no, no,
I was
thank
going to say the
you.
only one that struggled to come up with an answer was Kim
Was
Little.
Kim, yeah.
And it just proves how humble she is, but also she
Yeah.
knows she's quietly confident. Like you can tell that she knows, obviously, she has done all these things, but I don't think she realises how much fans love her, but also her teammates as well.
Yeah, and we hear it a lot. She's almost the silent leader in that she's pushing and championing every single player in that squad and working together with the leadership team to show like what we can do and that we can get to this level. And it's just, yeah, it's a leadership that everybody speaks about. If you ask somebody about who's a great leader, Kim Little's name will come up
Yeah.
in that conversation. And yeah, it's a very, I guess, Scottish thing as well to push off the compliments and yeah, just get on with it. But that woman needs her flowers because yeah, I think as Leah Williamson said, she should have like 10 Champions League medals under her belt because of the quality she is. And I think a lot of people don't know as well, just like how much she's done for the game. She has been there since the very start. She was obviously with Arsenal, and then she had a spell away, came back again, captained the club, and got them a Champions League like medal for each of them after winning like just the League Cup for 2 years in a row. And it's
That's
quite a big jump, yeah. Especially after like all the uncertainties and like change in management and in the squad over the past couple of years before that. So yeah, it's hats off at the highest level to what that woman can do and the type of person she is. And yeah, I hope everyone continues to let her know that, because as the chants say, 50 years Kimmy Little. Um, and then
100%.
oh
I
yeah,
think we should
has
start
to.
that now.
And then other than that, I when I play football, I play as a defender, centre back, if I could choose. And obviously, our centre back vice captain, Leah Williamson, is also up there with one of my favourites. She was the one that actually got me into Arsenal, and seeing her lead England to like a Euros win, and obviously miss out on the World Cup annoyingly with her ACL, but just the profile that she has is out with any other women's sport figure I've ever seen, and she uses her platform to like go on, whether that's podcasts, do talks, do like TV shows, and promote the women's game and speak about her experiences within that, and also just within like things in general. Like she's spoken about like endometriosis before, and it's like everything that I would want to look up to as a role model, like both on the pitch and also off that. And I just I think that is something that almost can't be replicated, or that will be almost the guideline of what people want to replicate from there on. And I think she also is incredible on the pitch. Like that Champions League final performance is the best I've ever seen her in an Arsenal shirt, and she's just getting better, and I think has got a lot more to show, both with Arsenal and England.
Yeah, no one can deny your two options, because I feel like those players they're so popular, but also the detail that you've just explained as to why you like those players, I feel like sometimes get a bit overlooked, especially obviously Kim Little. Everyone could praise her, but because she's not someone that would outwardly post on her socials or outwardly talk about in lots of podcasts, it's sort of like she could get overlooked for what she's actually done for the game. And if she was playing, like you said, maybe if she was playing at a team like a Barcelona or a Lyon that constantly win those Champions League, because she'd be more decorated, maybe people would then put in the same category as the likes of Lucy Bronze, Alexia Putellas, when in fact she already is, in my opinion, in that category. So it's sort of, just, I feel like sometimes silverware doesn't necessarily reflect it, but obviously it's so good that she got that. And then with Leah Williamson, I feel like it's almost, I think it's something which can be a little bit toxic, that we as fans have an expectation of these players talking out about things, because there shouldn't be that expectation. It should be, if they want to talk about something, they can. If they don't, their job is to be a footballer on the pitch. But I think when someone uses their platform in such a positive way, like you said, it's just so good, because then all of us are sort of like, oh, okay, like maybe we can talk about this, or maybe we can relate to something and then just feel a bit more seen in our lives, or open our eyes to something that we've never considered. So I think it is really good. So honestly, can't fault your choices whatsoever.
Two top ones there.
I feel like those are really good, to be fair. And to be fair, I feel like we could talk about at length Kim Little, Leah Williamson, pretty much the whole of the Arsenal squad, because and we're going to do that in a bit when we talk about this season. But just moving sort of, obviously we spoke about trends earlier and how you got a fiancé out of hopping onto a social media trend. I sort of want to just, like, obviously proved very effective, I sort of want to just take a look at your journey into working in women's sport, because I feel like content was a huge factor of that. Like when I was looking on LinkedIn and doing my little stalking vibe, and obviously through conversations and through following you on Instagram and socials in general, I see different things like the We See You network, like all these opportunities you've had through doing content and working in the sports media. I sort of just want to know, like, how did you get into it? What was your journey into that? And also, why do you actually want to get into it?
Yeah, so I started posting just similarly about the time that I started coming to Arsenal games, and just like starting off posting like stuff that I enjoyed, like match day vlogs, stuff of like just during the game, like players warming up, players during the game. And it kind of, as the content space got bigger and there became more eyes on it and people were getting more of these opportunities and I was trying out more, I was like, oh God, I love this. I did an English and film undergraduate degree when I was in Glasgow, and editing was like a big love of mine. I worked on a TV show over summer in 2024,
No
and
way.
that was the original
That sounds
career
really
that I
cool.
wanted to get into. Yeah, just a small like Scottish TV show, and I always knew that I wanted to do something within media. And when I was at like high school, I did the arty subjects. I did like art, English, and media. They were my big loves in that as well, and the ones that I always do well in things that I enjoy rather than I'm not a science or maths person. And
I hear that.
my school journey definitely showed that.
Retweet.
Yeah, literally. And then this, yeah, it just seemed like, oh my God, like this is my passion. I love doing this. And also I can get pretty good at this if I like put my mind to it. So yeah, I just invested more of my time into it, spoke to people, and I've made a lot of friends through the media landscape as well, like other than just at the games, but like, yeah, the We See You event that I went to last year was the perfect opportunity of a space full of people that love women's sports, who want to work in women's sports. And it was everybody that had the same interest in me, which is really difficult to find often in this landscape, with the like sports media land being mainly targeted towards men. As much as that's changing, it still is quite a difficult place to get yourself into. So yeah, just that landscape, that final push is in like, well, it's in the name of it, We See You. And 3 in Chelsea did such a good job with that partnership. I know I'm with my Arsenal shirt on, I hate to say it, but the like what Chelsea are doing within their women's team and their media landscape is incredible, and the people working behind the scenes are incredible at what they do. I just, yeah, it was nice to feel recognised and to almost get that boost in, we can see what you're doing and you're doing a good job, so like don't quit it, keep going. And I didn't, and then that was during I did my master's degree, finished that up, and then after the Euros, well actually during the Euros I went out to Switzerland and did an interview out there, remote, came back, and then since then I've started working within the PWR. Yeah, and that's where I am now. I still do my bits and bobs on social media alongside that, but yeah, that's now women's sport, and women's rugby is my full-time job, which is incredible to be able to say. Like, I'm living in London, working within women's sports, and if you'd have told like me that when I was a kid, I would have gone, whoa, like that's really cool. And it's almost like a full circle thing of being pushed out of the sports, like playing the sports when you're younger, because there's not a space for you, into creating the space for you within this landscape.
I actually love that as well, like your journey, especially because it just shows how you're so aligned with women's sport and you want to promote it, because it doesn't matter what the sport is necessarily. Like, you don't have to have a big interest into one specifically, but just wanting to help the space as a whole. And obviously, like you said, through that you've got benefits of your own because you've made connections in it, you've made friends. I mean, technically because you did your masters at UCFB, I feel like that's how we sort of connected, but then also through your love for Arsenal and women's sport as a whole. I feel like it's so nice when you constantly find connections. I was actually just thinking, as you said that, I was like, oh my God, that reminds me of when we met up and we went for a walk. And when we were going to the FA Cup that day, like to see the trophy for the football.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we ended up walking past Tower Bridge. And I feel like this is mad because it's almost foreshadowing what we do. But we ended up seeing the Women's Rugby World Cup trophy. And just being like, oh my God, that's so cool. So we ended up getting a photo of that. I've still got that tote bag. I use that all the time. It's black as well, so I feel like it goes with all fits. So I'm like, this is cute. 100% got to wear it. But I just find it mad that those two, that day almost represented your career of like, I had a huge love for women's football, worked in it at that moment, but then little did you know around the corner, like obviously your next move. And I just kind of am intrigued if you found the two spaces are similar, or what you've sort of, the skills that you learn maybe when you were in the women's game, like in football, can you transfer it? Like obviously in terms of media, PR, because obviously you're PR executive, like
Yeah.
is it transferable?
Yeah, I've found it a lot of it transferable. Especially just I guess the networking skills that you get within that football space is the key. And I think to be in this space, people like I've had a few questions of how do you get that role and how do you work within it. You need to be able to speak to people. That is the main thing, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. And I mean, I think
Yeah.
us speaking on the podcast is almost a testament to that as well. So that's a huge thing as well. And I feel, I don't know if you would agree with me, but women's rugby, where it is just now within the league, is where women's football was just after the Euros. And you've got that like boom from the Euros, and in this case, like the boom from the World Cup that is kind of pulling out across the
In
league.
popularity, yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting there. It's on like a steady growth level. And I think it's almost within rugby just now, yeah, it's not quite replicating it because it's got its own journey, but it's on that pathway. And I think that's helpful as well because you can see the progress, you can see where you want it to go as well. And yeah, just having that experience, having those like lived experiences within the football world to transfer over into this. And yeah, I think I've learned like a lot coming into my role. I think I have gone back to playing rugby now as well, so that has certainly helped with my knowledge. But I played rugby when I was a kid, also played football and continued football, like bits and pieces throughout my adult life. So the way I read the game of football, I think, is one of my like what makes it so enjoyable to me. It's like my special interest, and at games, like my fiance will definitely speak to this because it can get quite annoying. But I sit like with my hands like on the seat in front of me, going right, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this,
And
and
if the triangle links up here and then this part,
yeah, and
and
then you
everyone's like,
can
what
do
are you
that
talking
and all,
about?
and we'll win. And I think playing rugby now as well really helps me understand that and helps me get the knowledge out, like when I'm speaking to players, when I'm doing interviews, or when I'm at games and I'm doing some like reporting on it. The understanding of the game is the key thing, and that's knowing that I can do that through football and by playing football as well. By going back to playing rugby, it makes me better at my job, and better at understanding what I need to do. And also just like people can tell you're more knowledgeable about it when you have conversations and you can like whip out these facts and bits like that, and it's like, okay, yeah, you know what you're
Say the odd
talking about.
phrase and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And yeah, a bit of a tangent, but I think that almost yeah replicates itself in that way too.
No, definitely. I mean, that was literally like the perfect answer because I feel like not only does it sound like you're almost unlocking your inner child as well, because that's what you used to play when you were younger, which is so nice that you're reconnecting with that. Because I feel like even for me, I haven't played football for the last couple of years, and I played every year since I was 5. So I feel a bit lost without having a team, and I definitely feel like that's something I want to reconnect with, like just the sporty aspect of me, but in that team dynamic. But obviously it's great that it's benefiting your work as well, and obviously your understanding of the game, but maybe from a adult's perspective, whereas before it was probably like, this is so fun, like let me throw this ball and like see what happens sort of vibe, whereas now it's like, right, this actually unlocks this position and things like that. So that's actually really cool. Obviously this is the Arsenal Humans podcast and we've just been yapping a bit about rugby, but I'm actually intrigued, and I don't know if you could answer this question, but I'm going to take your word for this, by the way, because my knowledge of rugby, like, I played it at school, but it wasn't anything competitive. And I understand the basics, and obviously was there watching the World Cup when the Red Roses obviously just won it again. But I'm kind of intrigued, like, we're talking about Arsenal, and obviously in the WSL, you know their position, and I think most people obviously watching this or listening to this podcast will know their position. But
Yeah.
what team does Arsenal replicate in the women's rugby game? Like,
Ooh.
as in, obviously, the Premiership, like the rugby league,
Yeah.
what team would you say is similar?
I
And obviously, give
I
reason,
would be
like, you
between
can't be wrong.
two. Yeah, no.
No stress.
I would be between two, both London teams. Either Harlequins or Saracens, both big names, big brands within rugby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning probably more towards Harlequins on that aspect. They are teams that are continually like pushing to get to like the best position in the league. They're currently sitting at third in the league, which Arsenal are very common with.
Yep.
But they can produce a good result. They can produce it like a really good result and get that win when they like put their mind to it. And the quality of players, like you've got like the likes of Ellie Kildun in that squad, which is
Mm-hmm.
like she's a household name already. Um, and but they seem to struggle within some situations. And like they've got to the semi-finals of the league the past couple of years, and are obviously like pushing towards it now, but maybe struggle to like get the trophies at the end of it, which obviously a bit different for Arsenal now, but I think that's what we're almost renowned for sometimes, is that like we have the quality, we know we can get results, but sometimes struggling to get to the end of it. Um, so yeah, I would probably say them, and also the fan base for Harlequins is probably one of the biggest within the PWR, from my experience of it as well, and it's like passionate fans that know what they're talking about. Um, so yeah, that's who
Yeah.
I would say. From my opinion, that would be the most like it. I mean, Saracens are a North London team, so I think that's
The connection,
in
yeah.
in aspect the most big connection there. But I mean, they're playing at the Tottenham Stadium, so don't think I can
We
quite
can't we
say
can't
that's
cross
the
that over. That's
same.
one thing I do know, we can't do that. To be fair though, when you say Harlequins, I feel like out of the whole league and rugby as a whole, to be fair, Harlequins is probably not only because obviously, like you said, Ellie Kildun, I feel like she's almost one of the trailblazers, like maybe a Chloe Kelly. Not only is she very quick, like she's rapid actually when she's playing her sport, but also that household name. So I feel
Yeah,
like in those, like in terms of that, like that sort of comparison. But also for me, Harlequins, like I feel like I've always got a soft spot. Like I don't have a team, a rugby team, but if I
yeah,
did, I'd say Harlequins because I remember I think I was in like when I was in like year 7, 8, and 9 at my school, because my school's not that far. That's the local rugby team, I guess,
nice.
in a way. I remember some of the coaches came in and they were just like training with us, and then they were like, "Oh, do some of you guys want to join like Harlequins?" But at that point, I was like, "Oh, that would be kind of cool. Like, let me go to some training sessions." But it sort of clashed with my football, and then that was
Right.
sort of, when you're at a crossroads, and for whatever reason, I went down the football route, which I guess has led me to this podcast. But in another world, I could be doing like the Harlequin Humans or something.
Yeah.
You never know. Um, but I do feel like that is the team that maybe because when I get on trains sometimes, like I see the branding more so
Yeah.
that it's something that. So out of all the teams for you to say that, I was like, oh my god, I was going to say that as just like that's one of the teams I know sort of vibe.
I think it's also like probably the most recognisable rugby club, in my opinion, in England as well, because there's the famous quartered shirt that
Mm-hmm.
if you show that to somebody who like doesn't know their stuff, you can tell that
Yeah.
that's like Harlequins as well. So yeah, I think that's almost the same as Arsenal as well, is that it's the name of the club and the not even the history, but just how they are and how they look is something that people know about. And yeah, I think that's the same with each other.
No, 100%. Almost that one club mindset as well. So like
Yeah.
that's I quite like that. I'm happy I asked that question because I was like, this could go either way. um, so like moving it back to now, obviously Arsenal and like the season as a whole, just to chat a little bit about your thoughts, I guess, because I feel like this season has been really confusing, the same way that last season was, but I feel like last season was a bit more chaotic because it was obviously Edeval left, like fans were getting so angry, they were writing Jonas out on walls and things like that, and it was just
Yeah.
chaos. And then Sonny Slakers came in, calmed the ship a bit, ended up winning a Champions League. Like that was a mad season. But then
Insane.
almost the start of this season, we had that expectation of we're going to play the way we played against Barcelona every single week. And then
Yeah.
I feel like it just divided opinions. Everyone just became a bit like, what's going on with Arsenal? Obviously, we've actually
Yeah.
recently won silverware. But for you, what are your sort of thoughts the season as a whole? Like, do you like Slagers? Do you think she's good for the team? Any players that stand out in particular?
Yeah, I think Renee has been exactly what we needed. And I think even like when Jonas left and everything was up in the air there, my thing was I think it was time for Arsenal to have a woman in charge. And I think Renee showed exactly why that was the case. And also how the players speak about her, I think tells a lot. Obviously, we're not inside that camp. We don't know what goes inside those four walls, but the way they speak about her, the way Chloe Kelly speaks about her after her really difficult time at Man City, just tells you a lot of what you need to know about the environment inside camp. And I think obviously we've had a bit of like an up and down with results, but we know we're a good team and we know what we're capable of. And it's just like any other team, like Chelsea have got a world-class manager as well, but are also struggling to get results. But on the most part, I think we've had like a pretty good season. We've got a game in hand, but if we win that game against Leicester City when it's rescheduled, we'll be second in the league, which obviously we finished second last season, but that was looking difficult for a while. I think standout players. I'm trying to think. Olivia Smith. Just self-explanatory.
Yeah,
incredible.
Don't even need to go into detail.
Yeah, and the age that she is and what she does is, and other teams, you can tell that other teams know that as well and know how much of a threat she is. I mean, scoring the only goal against Manchester City in the game against them, she's got just undeniable quality, and it frustrates me that she like gets fouled all the time and that it's often looked past by referees. And obviously, like, she posted the scar that she has on her leg from a game last season, because she does seem to be targeted. But she's such a big threat. She's incredible, and I think I guess a bit like Kim Little, because of the international team she plays for, we don't hear as much about Canada, and that I think she has 100% the capacity to be like an Alessia Russo, and the like that brand around her name, but because of her international team, it's not got that big like crazy Lioness fan base or even like the American fan base behind it. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with like her name and her brand, but I think she's one of Arsenal's best players on the pitch this season. And in hand with that, I did just mention her, but Alessia Russo is on fire. She was obviously had an incredible season last season. She scored the drawing goal in the Euros that sent England to the penalties, and I just think you can tell that she's enjoying playing her football and she's enjoying the team that she's around, and it definitely shows on pitch. So they two strikers, but they're my two top picks of the season, I would say.
100%. I mean, obviously, like you said, Alessia Russo is one of those household names. Everyone knows her. You see, I feel like she's got to be... I want to know if they actually know how many shirts are sold with the names on the back, but she's got to be one of the most popular names.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like every time I go to a game, it's just like little Russos in the crowd. Like, you can just see on the back of everyone's shirts. And I think it is because she is the one that would get the goals or the one that is always on the pitch pretty much. But definitely agree with Olivia Smith as well, because I don't know, I feel like not only obviously are you saying that maybe she's a little overlooked in terms of her like international play as well, but I do feel like a lot of people are saying that Olivia Smith is the start of a new Arsenal decade, like a new Arsenal team.
Yeah.
And if the rumours about Katie McCabe, players like that are leaving, and I feel like Stina will probably leave soon as well, and obviously Kim Little, whether she'll retire in the next few years, that's a question mark, which honestly I think we'll all just cry. That would be a day that everyone just doesn't go to work, like we just mourn, because that would be so sad to not have
public holiday
as our captain. We should have a little holiday, and everyone's like, what does that mean? It's like, we just take a little break from life, like just, a little break, take a step back, because I feel like we definitely need that. But I do feel like Olivia Smith has been brought in at the perfect time where she scored in her debut at the Emirates, but then it feels like every time she goes to the Emirates, she scores and she shows up and she comes in clutch all the time, man. And it's so good to see. But maybe this is the start of like a new Arsenal team, which I'm kind of excited about, because I feel like we do have a good foundation. So it's sort of just like, how can we build on that? And obviously, like we've built on it already with some silverware in the cabinet for 2026, which is amazing. But do you think we can add to that, like the end of this season, or are you sort of?
I think we need to.
Unrealistic? Yeah.
I I would love to say we've got the Champions League again, but I think we're going to have a really difficult Champions League campaign, especially with Chelsea in the quarterfinals if we like win obviously the games against the Waven. But we've got, I think Arsenal quite a lot of the time have a target on their back, but it feels like in the same way that the Lionesses had the target on their back after the Euros and like the World Cup runner-up position, teams were targeting them because if you win against, like in our case, the European champions, then you've got to be pretty good. And regardless of whether you catch them on an off day, it's still, they've got the trophy in their cabinet, and being able to beat those teams is something to be proud of. So I think I would quite like to, I think the league is possibly out of reach now. It seems pretty in City's hands, although we did say that 2 years ago, and then we gave it to Chelsea with the Stina Blackstenius. But I would like to see us win an FA Cup because that is part of Arsenal's history. We've got it in the songs. I'd like to add another number to the Ole 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 chant in the songs, and seeing Arsenal play and win at Wembley would be an absolute dream. And I mean, thinking about it now, can you imagine the sound of the Arsenal crowd in that stadium? Like, even if we're to get to the final, I think we need to be there. We need to be within the top 3 of the league, preferably 2, because we don't want to go down from last season. Obviously, it was against United in the end, which determined our position, but we want to be in finals or Champions League at least, like get into the semi-final. Again, yeah, it'll be a tough run, but just if we put everything we can into it, then I won't be upset or annoyed if we don't like get it in the end. But if the team can show me that this is what they want to do and that this is the legacy they want to leave behind and they want to play good football, then it doesn't really matter about the results in the end, but it's about that mentality.
No, 100%. And I do feel like as well with the FA Cup that you mentioned, I feel like that's a trophy that gets sort of a little bit overlooked. Like people are like, oh, it's not the league title, or it's not necessarily like a European competition that you're winning. But I think the FA Cup, there's something magical about it. And obviously we're so decorated in that. Like if you look at our history, that is a trophy that I feel like when I picture the FA Cup, I picture it to be Arsenal's trophy. Like I picture people like Kelly Smith lifting it up and like people back in the day that we had that history for. And then it just feels like any Arsenal fan that started supporting since the Euro, like 22 Euros or the World Cup or the most recent Euros, they don't know that that's associated. And like there's been a few people on here that have mentioned, like Farah, obviously, who's the chair of the supporters club. She was like, I'd love to do a fan walk down Wembley Way. And when the moment she said that, I'm kind of spreading the word to everyone that this is happening, because I was like, you've just created the dream that everyone wants to experience. And I think what we was talking about right at the beginning of this episode about the fan base, the culture, everyone coming together, like your fiancé was hugging a random family. I just imagine what we do like with the FA Cup as well, because you know that there'll be a lot more of us there in that stadium, so it would be like a Red Sea of Arsenal fans. So that honestly would be incredible. Like that,
and the celebrations at Box Park after, I think
literally we'd rent out the whole of Wembley.
Literally.
This is so
sorry to anybody that lives there for that day, because it's being taken over by
somewhere else, because we're cracking that. We're cracking Wembley. That is now ours. But it would be so good, and I feel like that is that's a piece of silverware that, especially I feel like when we're talking about the men's as well, people like, if Arteta just wins the FA Cup, then he's got to go. Things like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is such a cool piece of silverware. Obviously, Slagers has like made us world champions somehow, which is crazy that happened in 1 week, like 2 games. I'm hoping it expands out in the future, because I do feel like that prize money will definitely help us build that future team that we were talking about. But yeah, Champions League would be amazing. Obviously, it's a bit of a harder run. I don't know. I feel like silverware in general we should be able to get more. And with the likes of Slagers, who I know you mentioned it, I think it was a few moments ago, like we don't necessarily know what she's like behind the scenes, but because of how positive the players are, that's so true. But then also we did see that documentary recently, like of the Champions League, and I was like, oh, you could see a little bit of her. Like, I feel like that was such a good insight as an Arsenal fan to be like, oh, okay, so this is how she does it. This is how like she does her team talks and gets the team going. But then you do see the leaders within the team, like Lee Williamson, who give those team talks that get everyone fired up, ready to go. So yeah, hopefully this ages well and we actually do get to Wembley. I will just repost this and I'll be like, guys.
Yeah, we spoke it into existence. Well, I'd like to see that photo of, do you know the photo of like baby Leah Williamson with the like lid on her head and like holding it like that? I'd love to see a recreation of that. And Kim Little as well. Yeah. Get that out, get that on socials. We will back them all the way to Wembley. Just
100%.
bring it home.
Yeah, I just want to book my ticket now, but then I feel like I don't want to jinx it. But maybe that's why I went wrong with the Champions League, because I wasn't there in person, because I didn't just book it. So whenever they're out, I'll be like, yep, we're going. So
I actually, for the Champions League, was watching I worked at the Chelsea-Barcelona game when Barcelona had that incredible win over them at Stamford Bridge. Cycled back to watch the Lyon game with my fiancé, and as soon as we scored that second goal, we looked at each other and there was just and then we booked the flights there and got on the phone with my friend and booked an Airbnb, and best decision we've ever made. So cool.
Honestly, I need to do that in the future. I need to take a note. A leaf out of your book, or whatever that phrase is. I was about to say note out of your book and I was like, that's not a phrase. But yeah, definitely need to get on that, and hopefully along with everything we spoke about this episode, there can be some sort of manifestation. I just want to end it with a little game that I always do, but this time I wanted to sort of, especially the conversation we had before about rugby, football, women's sport as a whole. So I kind of, to be fair, if some of the wording of this is not right, just like I've tried my best here. No pun intended there. I'm already so good. I've tried my best, guys. Stop. Anyway, so this is a little game of like this or that, and it's just women's sport edition, but obviously it's focused on football and rugby. So there's just like 5 things, and you've just got to tell me what would you rather sort of vibe. There's no pressure. Like, you can't be wrong. It's your opinion. And if anyone disagrees, they can just comment down below.
Yeah.
So,
tell me why you disagree with me.
And we will start an argument online. So okay, so the first one is 90 minutes of continuous passing in football, like just non-stop for 90 minutes, or 80 minutes of just tackling and like scrums and rucks and whatever in rugby. What would you rather?
80 minutes of like tackling, scrums and rucks. I think the passing for the whole game, it really bores me, and that's one thing as well. Football and rugby are like neck and neck with me in terms of enjoyment, but a rugby game, you've constantly got something going on, and I feel like that does
the excitement,
boost the excitement level just that bit more. So no question about it.
No question. Even if it's repetitive, I guess it's sort of, I don't know, lots of tackling and stuff, so something different. An extra time winning goal in football, or a massive try saving tackle in rugby.
I have to say an extra time winning goal in that one.
Easy. I feel like imagine that moment.
Yeah, well, it makes me think of like Conti Cup, when we won it in the last time. I was there and I was front row for that, in front of the goal that we scored, and as much as like my heart is up in like even the Euros in the summer, my heart is like in my throat. There's nothing like that. The elation that you feel from that, incredible.
Nothing beats it.
No.
The next one. So, who would you rather be your captain, just in general, in whatever team? Leah Williamson, who obviously we know is very successful in major tournaments, or Zoe Aldcroft, or I swear she got married. Is it Zoe Stratford? Like, I don't know.
Zoe Stratford.
Yeah, okay. I don't know which surname you go with, or her, who obviously is successful in major tournaments. So it's sort of like, I don't know how you're meant to pick.
Oh, that's a really hard one as well, because that's two top sides and two incredible leaders.
You can phone a friend.
Yeah, I'll get my cat in to make the decision for me. I think I have to say, with like my Arsenal hat on, it would have to be Leah in that sense. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe if we see Leah perform and get England to the World Cup win in Brazil, then that'll cement that, see if they can get quite to the level that the Roses have got to. But I think it would have to be Leah in that sense.
To be fair, saying that out loud, I was like, that's actually quite a tough quite a tough question. The next one, the fourth one. so after a football game, or to be fair, I feel like this could actually be for either rugby or football, like swapping shirts after, I
Yeah.
feel like that's more at a football game though,
Yeah.
or like having a post-match, like you don't do that, you just go straight to the pub or something, you have a drink, have a meal with like teammates.
Oh, I have to say, yeah, have a like a drink and a meal with teammates. I think especially from if I put in terms of when I play,
Mm-hmm.
and when I play rugby, that I love that and being in that environment, either if it's like a win or a loss, it's just nice to have your people around. And we do quite a lot of the when you've got like the player of the matches, we get the back of the match, the forward of the match, and the player of the match, they stand up, everyone sings a song and they have to like down their pint as well.
No.
So yeah, there's nothing that replicates that.
That's actually so. I mean, all the rumours that everyone says about rugby players, like it is true. I mean, to be fair, some of like what the rugby boys would do at my uni, like some of their sort of dares and stuff, I was like, bro, are you good? Like, why are you doing
Yeah.
that? But that sounds quite fun, like especially the community feel. And I do feel like if you're just swapping your shirt with someone, it's sort of quite a temporary thing. Whereas
Yeah.
like that is sort of that's a community. So I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. And the final one is, I don't know if to say this maybe from a fan's point of view, but instead of being a player, but being a fan in a sold out Wembley Stadium, which we obviously just spoke about, or a
Hmm.
sold out Twickenham. What is the better vibe?
Oh, I've not been to a sold out Wembley game. I think the closest I've had was the Lionesses game
Hmm.
against China, I think was close there, but I was at the Rugby World Cup final at a sold out Twickenham, and like simply for how amazing that crowd was, has to be that. Um,
It looked
and
really
also,
good to be fair. Like when I saw it on
oh,
TV and everyone, all my friends
incredible.
that went said it was unreal.
I cried. Like I cried at the final. Just I don't know if you saw, but the bronze medal playoff was the same day. It was a couple of hours before the
Hmm.
final, and with your ticket, you got access to both of the games. And the New Zealand team, they spoke about it and thought that like nobody would show up to their game, and we're just gonna
Yeah.
wait for the final. But their bus was late into like their arrivals because like the whole fan park outside of Twickenham was completely flooded with fans like waiting to welcome them in and coming to watch the game. And I think that yeah, that was so special. And then on the flip side of that, after the Roses won,
Hmm.
the emotion in the stadium, everybody stayed to watch them do that trophy lift. Like I don't think I saw like in my section one person leave. Everybody wanted to watch them stay, give them like the clap around when they were walking around, and just yeah, like hats off to them because yeah, they've just like made history and won the World Cup in front of a sold out like Allianz Stadium, and for the what that does for women's rugby as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, it has to be that. Has to be.
I feel like, to be fair, the summer as a whole was just massive for women's sport, and it proved that women's sport is massive because, like, just then you mentioned obviously the New Zealand team turning up late. I remember seeing that all over socials, but then I feel like there was so many little stories from both the Euros and the World Cup that it was just so wholesome, and like girlhood really shone through like throughout the
Yeah.
whole summer, and I was like, this is what it means to be an athlete in the women's game. Like it was so good, and even just being a fan, you feel that connection. But obviously linking to the like this or that I just said, hopefully in the future, if we've manifested this right this episode,
Yeah.
you might have a bit of a harder debate because you would be part of a sold out Wembley Stadium. Like that would be
Yeah.
so
Well,
good.
we'll revisit that question maybe in like 6 months' time
Yeah,
when hopefully we've got another FA Cup and sold out Wembley under our belt. But
that'd be
yeah,
honestly, that would be insane. That would be insane. I feel like that was such a nice way to sort of wrap up this episode.
yeah,
I feel like we've actually covered so many things, and no guest that I've had on obviously works in like rugby. So I feel like this has been such an interesting perspective, like a fresh energy. So yeah, I really appreciate having you on. I'm not sure, obviously, because you still post things on socials. Like I can put them in the description below if you want to tell anyone where to find you. Because yeah, you do content for, I guess now, women's sport as a whole.
yeah. Yeah. So I still use my socials to like document my life and my journey within
Hmm.
working in women's sports and any games I go to. So my TikTok and Instagram for that is at W Sports with Katie. And then for all the work with the PWR, it's Premiership Women's Rugby on all clickable socials.
Perfect. Well, I'll add all of that in the description below. And yeah, I really appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate anyone who's watched or listened, however you access this podcast. And yeah, I just feel like this has been such a nice one. I don't know how to even end this because it's just been, let's just smile. Let's just be like, cheese.
Thank you so much. I've had such a great time, and yeah, I love chatting about women's sports at any given opportunity.
Same here. I feel like we're very aligned with that. So I feel
yeah, very much so.
This has been nicely wrapped up in. It's just coming up to an hour. I feel like we could actually be out forever. But yeah,
literally.
It's been nicely wrapped up. But yeah, thank you to anyone who's watching. Go check out what Katie's doing. Not only with rugby, but obviously on her socials as well. So yeah, perfect.